Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Mastera with World Lacrosse. Today, bringing you our new segment, World Lacrosse Now, an opportunity for us to look at the voices of the game globally and the pioneers on and off the field. So without further ado, today we are excited to be joined by Jasmine Smith. So Jasmine, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Amanda. I appreciate this.
Well, thank you for coming on today. We're excited. So our first question is about your history with the sport, your history with sports in general. You've been involved in sports since the tender age of 7. I mean, that's a young age to start. How did you find lacrosse? And really just take us back to the beginning on how it started.
Yeah, so just a little background. My mother has multiple sclerosis and she's legally blind due to that diagnosis.
Mm.
And that led me out to be raised by my grandparents who became my guardians and her caregiver. And they resided in Radnor Township, which is the affluent main line of Philadelphia. And so by way of living out there, my grandmother, who was how can I describe it? She was from North Carolina. So, and then lived in Philadelphia for a long time and then moved out to the burbs. So it was interesting that she really kind of engulfed me in a lot of non-traditional sports. Technically, like I am 6'1" now, but I've always been taller than my peers and my friends. So, basketball was always the way to go traditionally.
Yes.
But for her, she saw something different with lacrosse and some of the other sports that I was playing. And so she talked to a lot of my friends who had been playing lacrosse and, the rec leagues, and she got me signed up. And I just remember I did not want to play. It was like, I don't want to be here. I want nothing with this. This stick looks like a broom. And you think that I'm going to catch it with a ball. It's not going to happen. And she was notorious. I mean, she was relentless, and you're going to do everything that you want to do if you go and do these activities that you have no foundation in history with. And it took a long time for me to bite. And so after a while, like I was just like, I'm just going to do it. And then I just fell in love with it, and that was around the time before the sticks changed. It was the original sticks with the wooden sticks that I played with. I always say are a lot harder. I mean, most people would say that, with regards to play and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. What a way to start too, right? Like you're going to try every sport, but you're going to do it because, I said so, and then to fall in love from there. So it is quite evident that sport has been part of your life from really the beginning. Talk to me about how it's impacted who you are, what you're doing, and your philosophy moving forward.
Yeah, sports is like the main one of my main heartbeats. I mean, it's something that has been within my family. I come from a very athletic side on both sides. And due to that, I think it was nothing but you're going to play sports aside from, being a trained musician and all those other activities that they had me involved in. But sports saved my life, with growing up with a disabled mother and a father that was, living in another state, and then being raised by grandparents in an affluent area of the country. We called it 90210 growing up. So you can imagine, it was hard. It was difficult to gauge, and especially in that era. And so sports was my outlet. And I think that's what my grandparents, especially my grandmother, really understood, that these sports would give me a level of understanding, coping, but also being able to just be free in that moment, in that energy zone. And so because of that feeling of understanding how sports changed the trajectory of my life. If I didn't have sports, and especially with those sports that, you just mentioned, I would not be who I am, which then folded into one of the reasons why I wanted to create a program for children, both of color, but also in the inner city that did not have access or even know about the sport that was even available for them to play.
Being an athlete, stepping on that field, you feel free, you're able to be yourself. Something I heard directly from some Kenyan lacrosse players in 2019. And it's also one of the core values of Eyekonz. So talk to me about the program, the organization as a whole, and what are your goals moving forward?
Yeah, so Icons is it's geared towards growing lacrosse for girls of color and inner city children that would not have the opportunity to play, but also don't know that these that sport is available. And pretty much Icons, I paired up how I was raised essentially by my grandparents. So the whole curriculum is based upon Edgar and Julia, as I would say. It's really their program
I love that.
because every curriculum from the I am affirmation that we have the girls do before every game and every practice was instituted by my grandfather growing up. And I couldn't understand one of the reasons why he did that was due to, he said, if you don't know who you be in this world, when you walk out of this door, they will tell you, because you don't know, you will believe it. And so he's like, he says, state your name, I am. And this was relentlessly because he wanted it to be engraved in me, every day of my life. And so I thought, well, how am I going to then teach girls that, are looking at the stick the same way that I looked at it? And especially in this era, like, are you kidding me? You think I'm going to get hit with a stick and a ball, if I don't serve them a greater purpose and fulfillment. And so it was those levels of, of things that they imparted in me that really made me really kind of fuse this with that. And then it became, Icons as we know it. And so Icons is pretty much, we develop, we play games and tournaments across the region and also out of state and nationally. We have a rec division all the way to elite. We really focus on making sure that our girls are prepared for life. I always say sports are a catalyst, but you also have to be prepared for the real world. So it's pairing the two, which, a lot of times we miss out because we're just so focused on the kids being, dominating in the sport, which is one component, but you have to always have the other piece alongside to it, so that they're learning how to be coachable in those moments. So it's a lot of fundamentals of self-awareness, self-development, self-love, and then initiatives with that, which is very, very important. You can't be an athlete and not understand your voice nor your platform. So our girls have created an Icons Legal Coalition to help adverse situations in their communities, but also things that they see out in the world in the country. And so again, it's giving them the understanding that, your voice has power. And with regards to where I see it in the future, I want Icons to be in a lot of different areas within, the country, but also internationally. I think that's important because, my traveling to Ghana and to other countries, it was just, seeing those children and seeing, the need of having something that they themselves would not even, play. It just warms my heart. So giving that application to them would definitely be something that I would want to happen in the future.
As we look at sport in general, and you've been quoted as saying you want sport to be a beacon of light to many of these young ladies, I want them to stand on my shoulders and to rise to greatness. So as we look at sport participation across the board and specifically lacrosse, what needs to be done to make it more accessible to every player in every corner of the world?
I would have to say access and education. The more that you educate the communities with the availability of the sports, and then you get the buy-in from those communities that unfortunately, for whatever reasons don't know where or aware of it, it makes it a little bit more better. It makes it a little bit more smooth transition, especially if you're coming in with two sports, or we're talking about lacrosse where you've never seen it before. You may have seen it on a commercial or on a TV show, but you haven't seen it in your backyard. And so again, it makes it a little bit more comfortable, with regards to doing something that has never been done. Very similar to, the lacrosse world. To the tennis world. Before tennis became such a phenomenon. And that was, in the 70s, late 60s with Arthur Ashe, being able to break barriers with regards to, transitioning that sport. So I think in that capacity, making people feel that they belong. And then the other piece is, unfortunately, lacrosse is an expensive sport. So, you know, having the financial means to then create an infrastructure so it's not as offset in terms of, you know, I can't play the sport, or I'm not going to put this much time or money into the sport because I don't even know if I'm going to play the sport, continue playing the sport, if I'm just transparent. And so, you know, just making an affording opportunity for all.
So, well, Jasmine, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
We
you.
are excited that you are our first episode because we have a legend on today. But as we move forward, we're excited to continue developing this sport globally with your help. And who knows, maybe we'll see, you know, Ghana on the docket soon at our next World Championship. They are there, they are a member nation, but we'd love to see them represented again. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate it. An honor.